Oh, hi, my name's James Moylan, and we're going to be having a quick look here at what I think is probably the most important piece of financial information from this video here, which was of a film by United News that was basically shown to the troops during Second World War, 3 weeks after D-Day, July the 1st. And basically, I think if you show a video like this, promise it to your troops, it is really a promise to sort of 18-year-olds who are perhaps the next day going to end up blown up or killed. So here we go. And
at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, delegates from 44 allied and associate countries arrived for the opening of the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference.
So we see here, this is the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, and there's 44 nations, and it's in July the 1st, and an average of about 40,000 people a day are being killed during the Second World War. And if you look at the history, you can see there was a Great Depression and a Wall Street crash following on from an attack on Wall Street by speculators. And here's a chap who was quite important in getting this conference today, and that is Winston Churchill. Now, I can show you a picture of him. Here we are. It comes from a history book. There we are. There he is, walking up the beach. Now, there's a landing craft in the background, so I could pretend it's D-Day, but it's not. What it is it's him crossing the Rhine and landing, and it says down there, I'll read it to you. This picture, taken on the 25th of March 1945, 6 weeks before the unconditional surrender of Germany, shows him landing on the east bank of the Rhine a few hours after the opening of the Allies' final assault on the enemy's homeland. Now, I'm just guessing, but I think there's a sort of separation between not Germany, the Rhine, and then Germany. And it says here, a few hours after the opening of the Allies' final assault. Now, you can see this guy wasn't allowed to do that at D-Day, but of course he was a lot more important then. He also said in his 1925, he said, "And we take these measures against speculators of any country, of any kind, and of any hue. Countries are like ships in a port, tied together by trade, and if one should fall, it can pull down the rest with it." Now, that's not probably an exact quote, but it's in Hansard, which are the British parliamentary records. Now, that brings us back to what has just been said here on this video. And it's gone weird in the middle. I don't know what that is. Anyway, what has been said on this video at 0:48 and we'll just come up to it in a minute. It will just be saying something very important.
Roosevelt to the first major world financial meeting since the London Conference of 1933, they will work in the seclusion of this White Mountains resort. One of China's representatives, with Secretary and Mrs. Henry Morgenthau.
Oh, I've got to start again.
United States Treasury Secretary Morgenthau heads the American delegation.
Now I'll keep going.
On the opening day, in his role of acting conference president, he addresses the
Here it comes, the most important bit.
Plans for the stabilization of world currencies. All agreements must be ratified by the governing bodies of the nations involved before becoming effective. On the opening day, in his role of acting conference president, he addresses the meeting. To be discussed are plans for the stabilization of world currencies. All agreements must be ratified by the governing bodies of the nations involved before becoming effective. On the opening day, in his role of acting conference president, he addresses the meeting. To be discussed are plans for the stabilization of world currencies. All agreements must be ratified by the governing bodies of the nations involved before becoming effective.
Right, so sorry about going on there a little bit. I'll show you the flags again. Right, there are all the flags. And I've just said to you about what Churchill said in 1925. And I think that's important for us to remember, because it's actually very important that it's not necessarily, and history showed this, the country that's actually falls and pulls the rest down, we see from history that is actually the one that's the worst affected. I mean, the United States was very, very badly affected during the Great Depression. And of course, the thing was, though, it was actually Germany that was the worst affected, according to historians. So Churchill's words, "And we take these measures against speculators of any country, of any kind, and of any hue. Countries are like ships in a dock, tied together by trade, and if one should fall, it can pull down the rest with it," are very important. Because all these countries here, they don't want to have their economies pulled down and end up with another Great Depression and another poverty situation where right-wing fascism and poverty leads to breakdown of democracy, and out of that came, I'm sure these people are fully aware of it, the rise of Adolf Hitler in the Second World War, which is why they're sitting there during a war where 40,000 people on average a day are being killed. And then they're showing this video to young guys who are sitting there who may never come back, and we owe them a lot. So the video continues.
Delegates to this monetary and financial conference pose on the hotel lawn. These meetings are designed to promote trade in the post-war world and to create a foundation for lasting peace.
Right, so a foundation and promote the... Sorry about that, it was a door banging. And a foundation for world peace. Now here we have Maynard Keynes. Now he wrote a book back in 1919 called The Economic Consequences of the Peace. And here we can see this book, and you can see a difference perhaps in what he looks like. There we are, I think that's him. And this chap here, I think it's him, do tell me if I'm wrong. But anyway, this is this book here written, John Maynard Keynes. And, oh, you moved then, sorry, that gave me a bit of shock. Sorry. Anyway, here we are, to be sensible. There's John Maynard Keynes, The Economic Consequences of the Peace. He also wrote a book called The Economic Consequences of Mr. Churchill for Staying on the Gold Standard, which I just gave you that quote a second ago, which he was trying to establish in 1925. So there wouldn't be another Wall Street, well, it wouldn't be another attack on the German Deutschmark or Reichsmark, 1921 to 23, and they could establish a situation where speculators of any country, of any kind, of any hue, couldn't destroy the world economy and basically cause a world war. Now, in his book here, he's on the page there, it shows that actually he was sent to the Paris Peace Conference, but he left thinking it was going to be a complete and utter failure. And he puts all these reasons in this book, The Economic Consequences of the Peace. But we can see that it was a failure. In Germany in 1921-23, there was a lot of poverty, etc. And now we continue with the video But I do want to point out here a very, very important words: foundations for world peace. Now, they didn't think that immediately they'd had this conference, suddenly the war was going to stop. Nor did they honestly believe that there would never, ever be a fight or an argument between people again. Now, I have found in discussing this video with people, they are, oh, well, there's never been world peace anywhere after this video. But actually, if you look at the economic after the Second World War and you compare it with the economics after the First World War, the differences are phenomenal. And taking us back to those words here, must be ratified by the nations, you see that actually parliaments all over the world must have discussed